Welcome to this sequence on HANUMANASANA. HANUMANASANA is basically the splits, but don't panic. This is structured, this is sequenced in a way which is kind and will just encourage the body in that direction, and I promise you there's a version for everyone. Props wise, it will be helpful to have 2 bricks. If you don't have bricks, no worries, just grab yourself a little stack of books that you can put your hands on too. So, roll out your mat, get ready and enjoy. Bring your palms together in front of you and just give them a rub. Feel how sensitive your hands are, how highly enervated your palms are. And then slow the rubbing down and connect the outer edges of the hands together. Turn your palms up and then softly curl your fingertips. So it's like you're holding something really precious. This is Pushpa Mudra, or a handful of flowers. And in yoga, we link it to the gesture of offering. So close your eyes and just reflect for a moment before we get into the sequence. A quiet moment on your mat to consider, is there anything that I would like to offer today? Maybe it's for your friends, family, loved one. Could be something like a listening ear. Or maybe just a general quality that you want to touch into and offer to your community, your surroundings. What would you like to share today? If you can distill that into a few words, then do. I'm grounded, and I listen. Or could be, I'm compassionate, I'm understanding. Whatever you like, whatever seems to just bubble up for you. And then slowly draw the palms together and lightly rest your thumbs on your chest. Lower the head, open the eyes. And lift the focus. Nice. We're going to start standing. Come on up and step on up. Make sure you have a couple of bricks nearby. Equally, you could have a little stack of books too. Hands to heart. And then breathe in, lift arms. Exhale, hands come down to the hips and you just hinge forwards from the pelvis and the hip joints. Grab your bricks straight away and set them to the height that's going to be helpful for you so that you can do a forwards bend with your legs straight. And this might mean that actually you need something higher than the bricks, which is completely fine, which is great. If that's what you need, then set it up. I find a chair works pretty well. Yeah, chair tends to be higher up. You can put your hands up like that instead, no problem. You can kind of leave them nearby. Yeah, we're going to keep using them. Step your right leg back behind you, long step. Right knee down onto the ground. And bring your hands up into Pushpa Mudra again. So the same gesture that we just used. Imagine this handful of flowers, or this quality that you are offering, held. And then bring the hands down. Tuck the back toes, lift the back knee. Hips straight up into downwards facing dog. Good, and then bend your right knee, Keep your left leg straight and just pause here a few breaths. Switch over, extend the right leg and bend the left knee. And then extend both legs. You can jump or you can step up towards your hands. If you're going to jump, lift your heels, bend your knees, look where you're going, which is forwards. Oops, lost my grip. And jump on up. Put your hands back up onto the bricks, make sure you get a little space between your feet and come into Ardha Uttanasana or half forwards fold. It may look the same as your Uttanasana, that's fine. If you're in a lower version than this, if you first of all went to a lower version, then this time you'd be sliding your hands up onto your shins. Where is the weight in the feet? Particularly if you're very flexible, it's tempting to rock back onto the heels. Make sure you've got plenty of weight into the front of the foot as well. And then we're going to step the left leg back. So left leg back, back knee down, both hands in front of you, a gesture of offering. Nice, hands down to the ground, lift back knee, hips go high, Ardha Uttanasana again. Again, you can do that little switch from leg to leg, so you take maybe 3 breaths, bending the right knee and then 3 breaths, bending the left knee, or you can have both legs straight this time. Good. Now from here, take your right leg and sweep it up and away behind you. See if you can keep your pelvis quite parallel. It will be tempting to let the right side lift up. Let's see if you can avoid that. So you can just, in this version, keep the right hip quite level. And then squeeze your right knee in towards your nose as you breathe out, breathe out, breathe out. Inhale, take the right leg back. Exhale, right knee to nose. And again, breathe in. And breathe out. Inhale, take the right leg back. Step the right foot between your 2 hands. So it'll probably help if you lift your left heel up and really curve your spine as much as you can as you step your right foot between the 2 hands. Good, and then from here you'll be in a low lunge and we'll start to work on the hip flexors a little bit. So you're going to imagine that you're pushing your back knee towards the ground, but it's like your knee is being pushed in the opposite direction as well. So it's like there's a tiny man underneath your knee who's trying to push your knee back up so there's resistance. Yeah, I'll start to do that. Start to imagine the tiny man. Or the really thick toffee that you're trying to move through. And it's like you can hardly see it with the naked eye because it's very, very slow movement. But you can really feel that resistance in the body. That effort to lower the back knee to the ground. Of course, eventually the knee will land. When it lands, make sure it's comfortable. If you need to flip the side of your mat to get a little bit more padding underneath it, that's great. You could also use a cushion. From here, make sure that your back knee isn't too far back. Yeah, so you don't want it completely splayed out. Very tempting if you're super flexy. Yeah, try and hone it in a little bit, because we're going to bring our hands up and then just lightly encourage the front crests of our hips to lift. And then once the front crests of your hips have lifted up a little bit, imagine that your back shin is kind of pushing into the earth. Can you feel the front panel of your hip? And then why not, let's add the mudra. Two more breaths, pressing the shin, lifting the front crest of your pelvis. Good, and then bring the hands down. Now half Hanuman. So you're going to extend out the front leg. You might later take the bricks with you actually. Yeah. And see if you can find yourself, this is the detail, important detail, a stretch in your hamstrings that feels like it's in the middle of the muscle. It's not that easy. It could mean that you need to come higher. But basically you don't really want to feel it right up by your pelvis or down in behind the back of your knee. It should be somewhere around the middle of the muscle, ideally. And then rock your weight back forwards again. Tuck the back toes underneath, lift the back knee, and then same action on the pelvis. Front crests lift up as you draw your body to upright. That might mean you want to shorten your stance a little bit again. As before, if your feet are massively wide apart, it gets a little bit tricky. But you're lifting these front crests, lifting. The feet are still parallel. You want a little bit of space widthways between the 2 feet. It's kind of like you're on double yellow lines. They're not crossed over at all. Nice. And then with the hands, let's interlace the fingers behind the back. Roll the shoulders back and away. And imagine the heart, buoyant, elevated, light. Because you're lifting the front crest of your pelvis, you may even have a little bit of a bend in the back knee. Not that big of a deal. If you can easily extend it again, that's great. And then we're coming down, so both hands are going to be on the inside of your front foot. Spin the back heel down onto the ground. Turn all of your toes to the long side of your mat, so I'm coming to you. And you're in Prasarita Padottanasana, which is wide-legged forwards fold. Again, you could have the bricks underneath your hands. Generally, I find that if the feet are wider apart, it's easier, and I always point that out because it's not necessarily the way around that you would think it would be. You might possibly think that wider apart would be harder, but it's a little bit easier to touch the ground if your feet are wider apart. If you're very flexible, this is easy for you, you might like to explore a slightly narrower version. You may even feel that you can just let the weight of the crown, head pour down. Let's take 3 nice, complete breaths here. And then we're going to take our hands back towards the front of our mat. We're just journeying back. Let the toes follow round as well. And rebend your front knee as your back heel lifts off. Should feel quite nice now to do a twist. So let the right side of your chest spin up and open to the sky. And then the right arm unfolds. Right hand, right fingertips. Twist, twist, twist. Both hands down to the ground. Hips high, downwards facing dog. If you need a little pit stop there, then child's pose might be nice. Feeling good, then stay in downwards facing dog, 5 breaths. Getting ready to lift the left leg up and away behind you. Breathe in. Just in this instant, see if you can keep the hips quite square. Squeeze the left knee in towards the nose. Breathe out. Inhale, take the left leg back. Exhale, knee to nose. Breathe in. Breathe out. Inhale, take the leg back. Lift the right heel high. Curve your spine as much as you can, so you can be Quasimodo now. Curve, 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 curve. Step the left foot between the two hands. Dunk. And here we are in our low lunge again. Again, imagine you've got a tiny strong man underneath your back knee. You're trying to put your knee down, he's trying to push it up. There's a very clear feeling of resistance there as you're trying to lower your knee down, down, down. Eventually the knee does land on the ground, and then you release your back toes. Get yourself comfortable, make sure your back knee isn't too far back, and then bring both hands up in front of you. Lift the aces, that's the front crest of the pelvis, and bring your hands into Pushpa Buddha Mudra. Did you have a word, a little mantra, or something to help cue that thing that seemed like something you would like to offer today? You let the top of your shin push into the earth. And then you bring the hands down, and again we rock back into half Hanuman. So you extend the front leg, flex the front ankle, use the bricks under the hands if it's hard to touch the ground, and make sure your spine is comfortable, at ease. Yes, now rock it forwards. Tuck the back toes again. Lift the back knee. Again, make sure your stance isn't too wide, because you're coming all the way up, and again you're lifting the front crest of your hips. If you can extend your back knee, then do. If it's fractionally bent, don't worry for now, just start to think about lengthening it. And then interlace your fingers behind your back and elevate the heart. Maybe a little visual check that your front knee hasn't shot past its ankle. Maybe a little visual check that your front knee hasn't slipped onto the inside of your front big toe. Go the same direction as your second, and maybe third toe. And then both hands down on the inside of your front foot. Spin the back heel down. Turn your toes to the long edge of your mat, and here we are again, Prasarita. Feel the outer edges of your feet press onto the earth, and the arches lift. And then walk your hands back up to the front of your mat. Spin the toes that way as well. Bend your left knee, your front knee, lift your back heel. Right hand stays down. Left side of chest spins up and open to the sky for a twist. And then left arm unfurls, left fingertips reach up. Bring both hands down to the ground. And this time, let's step forward. So you're coming back up to the front of your mat. One last time here, with the bricks perhaps under the hands. If you're feeling warm enough now that you don't need the bricks, then you'll be all the way down into a full version of Uttanasana. And then you're going to step your left leg back and away behind you, long step. Place the back knee down. Come again into Ardha Hanumanasana, so half Hanuman. And again, set yourself up with your bricks. If you can feel, and you've been feeling the whole way through, that this is an area of great tightness for you, then great, stick with this. This is a really nice version of Hanumanasana, with a bit of support. If, however, you know that there's more to come, that the legs are pretty happy with this, then you can slide your feet away from each other. Use your hands to help. And just check that you're not going beyond the point of useful to your body. Remember, the theme is the theme of offering. The posture is named after the monkey lord Hanuman, whose greatest quality is devotion, is offering his efforts towards his master in the story. And it's obviously a little harder to offer when you're not at your best, when you're not in your peak health, when your body isn't in its best situation possible. So we're always looking, for challenge, but also for kindness and care and compassion for ourselves first. Push strongly into the ground. Lift the hips up a little bit, tuck the back toes, and let's go back to downward facing dog. Use the easiest route out. And then again, you can step or jump your feet towards your hands. Your choice. Uttanasana. Hands back up onto the bricks if you like. If you're in this deep fold, you can even wrap your forearms behind your calves. Nestle down a little tighter, a little lower. And then we're getting ready for the second side. So it'll be your right leg that steps back, right leg that steps back, right knee that comes down. Half Hanuman, extend front leg. And then again, stay here, use the bricks. Or slide your feet away from each other. When you're sliding your feet away from each other, use your arms so it doesn't suddenly get too strong. Just push through your arms as you lower. Ideally, the hips are quite level, so the back hip is drawing slightly forwards. If it's super comfy, you can go into the mudra. Again, finding the version which is going to best serve your body so that you can go out in your day and offer. Push down, lift hips, tuck back toes, downwards facing dog. It's a strong one. Getting ready to come to sit down, you can either just put your knees on the ground and bring your legs around in front of you, or you can lift your heels, bend your knees, look where you're going and jump to sit down, so you just cross your shins mid-air. And you land on the outer edges of your feet. It's easier than it looks. Have a go. And then once you're sitting down, come to lie down. Ooh. And give your legs a hug in towards your chest. Let both of your knees fall over to the right. Spread your arms wide and relax your head to the left. If you've got a stronger twist that you prefer, you're so welcome to use it. It could be that you like twisted roots, the legs crossed, the left thigh all the way over the right thigh. And then unwrap, come back past centre, and let's go to the other side. So either both knees to the left, or you can go for the double wrap, and then the head to the right. Unravel, come back. And then just notice, is there anything else that you need to do to get comfortable to lie down? Is there a last posture or two that would really help you to settle and rest? It can be anything you like, so long as it's done carefully or with care. And then when you're ready, come to lie in Shavasana. So you lie completely flat on your back, arms, legs extended. If you want to lay a blanket across you, please do. You want to cover your eyes, a t-shirt or an eye pillow, go ahead. And then take a really nice deep breath in. And sigh. Let all effort melt. Welcome a space of time in your day where you truly rest. nothing to do. Nowhere to be. Rest. Feel the breathing deepen. Let the waves of that movement roll down your arms and your legs, into your fingertips and your toes. That breath animate you in any way that you feel good. Wriggling, yawning, stretching. And then one at a time, bring the legs back in towards your heart and lungs. And give yourself a nice squeeze. Roll over onto your side and press your way up to sit. Once you're sitting upright, bring your hands back out in front of you. Pushpaputta Mudra. The eyes are closed for a moment longer. Bring to mind or bring to heart your offering for the day. And then bow the head. Open the eyes.